working in an environmental NGO with an emphasis on water, obviously I'm thinking about water levels and drought scenarios maybe a little bit more than the average person. So there was this slow growing awareness that rainfall had been really low in Cape Town, and that was 2015, and 2016 was really low rainfall, and then 2017 was even lower than 2015. And so that was 3 years in a row of extremely low rainfall. And some of the researchers from UCT came out and said that this was a 1 in 1,000 year drought. And what was striking was that it took all the way up until I think the middle of 2017 for it really to hit sort of mainstream news. And it went from almost no awareness to kind of panic. The plastics warehouse shops were over one weekend suddenly sold out of all of the buckets and things to collect water in, because I think that was when day zero was announced. Everybody was trying to figure out, what are we going to do if we can't flush the toilets? People were trying to figure out how to build dry toilets. I knew many people who drove 200 or 300 kilometers out of Cape Town to maybe friends that they had living along the garden route or whatever, to collect water on the backs of bakkies and bring it into Cape Town. So this huge sort of panic-driven reaction suddenly happened. These were mostly wealthy suburban households going into panic and buying all the plastic tubs. And actually the kind of water restrictions and the small amount of water that people were having to get used to living with, that is what people living in Khayelitsha and the Cape Flats and most poorer neighborhoods in Cape Town, that is what people are living with and having to survive on all the time. We heard really terrible stories from a domestic workers sort of union that we work with, where domestic workers were being made to stay at work for longer hours because the households weren't saying, okay, we have to wash our clothes less often. They were just saying, well, we have to do it as hand washing, and the person who works for us just has to work harder and longer hours to do hand washing, because it was just inconceivable that people would change their lifestyles. And that was pretty significant and shocking. Yeah, it just kind of drove home how much excess wealthier and middle class households are used to living with, and how difficult it is for people to conceive of just living slightly simpler and living with less. And in the long term, to really adapt to climate change, we all have to actually learn how to do with less. We can't just make all of these adjustments and spend all of this money to be able to forever carry on living as if water is a completely infinite resource.